Tales of the Lore Keeper, Episode 1, The Man Who Cheated Death. Written, voiced, and produced by Jojo Kaiser. So, you're the man, the one they call when stories need to be told. Care for a cigarette? That's okay. No, I suppose not. When you have things to lose, you tend to take care of yourself. Damn. Out of fluid, I guess. I am the Lore Keeper. And you are? Ah, Mason. Mason Taylor. And why did you call me here? Because I'm the man that cheated death. It was the summer of 38, 12th year graduation. It was a marvelous thing, you know. The sights, the sounds, people cheering, my mum cried, and my father, for the first time in my life, he swelled with pride. I was accepted into Harvard to start the next year, and I was going to study biology, you know. We'd all went down to Barley's pub that night, laughed and drank our weight in fish and chips. Then my best mate, Jonathan Davies, he held up a mug at the table. There were 5 of us there, me, John, John's sister Joan, and the twins, David and Donald Brown. "I reckon we should take a trip down to Brazil," he cried. "Visit the rainforest. It'll be a grand sight to see before we're shoved in classrooms for the next 6 years, huh?" I remember the look of everyone's faces. Confusion, then deep thought, and the unmistakable smiles of one's picturing the vacation of a century. One's filled with sights, love, laughter, and the memories of a lifetime. So we did it. Raced to the airport the next morning, grabbed a flight, and we went as soon as we could. A bunch of college-age ninnies out to see the rest of the world for the first time before our lives truly began. I remember the smell as we landed. It was wet. Wet and peaceful. The wind blew over the ocean and the plane dinged. We all single-filed off the plane and hailed a taxi. Asked them to take us to the nicest hotel we could get. We got settled in, and for the next week, Brazil was going to see the most righteous bunch of bumbling teenagers it had ever seen. We traveled down the city streets until the moon hung high, and on our 3rd day, we went into the rainforest with a tour guide. Told us his name was Andre. I remember he had a crooked smile, and one of his eyes had a large scar above them. We'd been walking for what seemed like hours. It was fun at first, you know. The birds were beautiful, the trees a luscious green, and occasionally you could hear the subtle whistle as the wind blew through the trees, but then it started to get dark. My legs were sore, my arms were a little tired, and something didn't feel right. I remember David speaking up. "Andre, mate, you think we could maybe turn back?" And the answer came. It sent shivers down his spine. "We already did. 3 hours ago." I remember my head snapping up from looking down at my sore ankles. "What did you mean?" And then I saw it, and I thought I was going to cry. Andre wasn't there. I looked left and I looked right, and I noticed neither were my mates. John, Joan, David, and Donald were all gone. I looked back. I had no idea where I was. I started running as fast as I can. The branches tripped me a few times. I scraped my elbows. I started calling out for them over and over again. "John! David! Donald! Joan! through the trees, I heard it. Mason? Mason, where are you? It was Joan. Her voice was clear, as if she was right next to me. She was calling to me from beyond a thick bush. I ran toward it, hollering back, and then, before I knew what had happened, I was suddenly in a very dark room? I guess you could say that. Although the darkness seemed to go on forever. It was like a void. I looked around, and in the distance I could see it was small. A faint green light, color of the spring's clover. I followed that light. What was strange was that my legs were no longer sore. My mouth no longer dry, and my eyes no longer ached. What was even weirder was that no matter how much I walked, the light didn't seem to get closer. After a while, I realized I couldn't even keep track of time. Could have been an hour, could have been 10, could have been a day, I don't know, but eventually I reached it. It wasn't like the light got closer to me. It was just like I wasn't in it, and then suddenly I was. And in the center of that light was a frail, old man, skin black as the starless night sky, and a brilliant white beard. Reached the floor. Something was strange, though. His skin, it didn't look like ours, you know? It wasn't like there was... It wasn't attached. It's like it hung from his bones. He had no meat, no muscle structure, no nothing but his face. His face held these pale blue eyes and a wide, warm smile. And I knew who he was. He had never been described that way in any Bible I had read or any tale I had heard, but... Am I dead? I asked him, my voice shaking like I had never heard it. The tears were running down my face, and... Tears? No, there were no tears. I wasn't crying, but I wanted to. I felt like I should. I felt like I should be crying. I felt like that I should be sobbing. I should be on the floor, but I felt no pain. Even though my brain told me I should be sad, I felt no sadness. But this couldn't be. I couldn't be dead. I was about to go to Harvard. My father was finally proud of me. I was going to get a degree, maybe find a nice bird, shack up, marry, have a few little nibblings running around. I couldn't believe it, though. Then the old man handed out his arms, as if asking for a hug. I looked at him, and I don't know what came over me, but I begged him, please. Please, sir. Another chance. I need another chance. The look on that old man's face, it was enough to shatter me. It wasn't anger or sadness. There was no look of aggression. It was disappointment. One like a concerned granddad after you spent the night drinking and rejecting your studies. The kind that hurts you because you hurt them. But I didn't care. I said, please. Please. Please let me go. The old man dropped his arms to the side and gestured behind him. There was a pale green door. I didn't even hesitate. I stepped toward it, I opened it, and I stepped through, not giving one glance back to the old man. My eyes rushed open and my chest hurt. I managed to gather myself and get off of whatever it was I'd been laying on. I'd come to see there were large rocks above me, a cliff so high I could barely see the ledge. But I could see the trees above me. The sun beating down and the water was splashing against my feet. Very soon, however, the pain in my chest subsided, and when I moved my neck, I heard a sickening crack, and then no pain, no tiredness, nothing. I can't tell you how, nor can I tell you when, but I made it back to London. I never saw nor heard from my mates again. I couldn't even tell you if they made it out alive. Canceled my classes at Harvard and I moved to the countryside, started a new name, a new life. I became a farmer. I met a nice girl. Her name was Dorothy, and I wish I could say that's where the tale ends. That I lived a happy life, but obviously I'm standing here in front of you in an abandoned building in the middle of New York City in America in the bright old year of 2023. And you look like you're still 18, as opposed to well over 100. Yeah. Yes, and I still look like I'm 18 instead of 100. Yes. You're right. Well, see, me and Dorothy had managed to save enough money to buy our own farm, our own land, and our own car. We were driving home one night from a rather fancy theater. It was a wonderful show called The Adelante, based on some Spanish poems or the other. It was late. I was ready to get home, and I hadn't felt tired, per se. You see, ever since the time I woke up, I didn't feel tired ever, or hungry, or thirsty. I never ached, but I never felt pleasure neither. I never felt anything. Sometimes Dorothy would cook, and I would go to eat it, and I would have to pretend that I needed to eat it, but I never felt hungry. I think sometimes she could tell that something wasn't quite right. Sometimes when we were doing what married couples do, I would fake that I could feel it, but I couldn't. You pinch me, I don't feel it. You cut me, I don't bleed. But emotions, oh, I can feel those. Anyway, we were driving home, and I just really wanted to be in bed with Dorothy, and the curve, well, let's say I wasn't expecting the other car to be there. It was a horrific crash. Terrible. I remember feeling the car flip. And then I heard it. The blood-curdling screams. And I saw the fire licking my face. I looked to it. I looked to my right and I saw my sweet Dorothy encased in the flames, screaming in pain and looking at me, terror in her eyes. I realized why. My body was not hurt. I was not burning. I could not die. And Dorothy saw that. You know, I had felt the weirdness of the lack of hunger and thirst and the lack of pain, but I never really thought much of it until I realized in that moment that I didn't cheat death once. I cheated it for good. When it was my time, I chose not to embrace him, and because of that, I didn't just lose the ability to die or feel pain or suffering. I felt the ability to feel pleasures in this world. With tears in my eyes, I ran from that crash. I ran as fast as I could. I found a small boat and I stowed away on it and took it to the Americas. Enlisted in the war when it started, hoping I could find death there, and I did not. And for the past 80 years, I have been searching for answers. Tried calling to him many times, tried various ways to kill myself. I've leaped from tall buildings, let myself sink to the bottom of the sea, lit myself ablaze, and even sat on a live grenade. Nothing! And last week when I was in a pub downstate, I heard about you. How you collect stories of weird and unnatural occurrences. Do you share these stories, Mr. Lawkeeper? Yes. Then a warning. Should anyone ever find themselves in a dark void, and a dark-skinned man with a long white beard and pale blue eyes offers you a hug, you take it. So that's it then. It seems while Mr. Mason cannot feel things physically, his emotional state is still affected. He is depressed. Severely. And I suppose I can't blame him. Though I do wonder, surely Mason Taylor, if that is his real name, is not the first, nor would he be the last to beg death to spare him and be granted that wish. I have this story in the journal for now, but I'll be posting this online as well. And if you're out there, and you are like Mr. Mason, contact me. I'd love to take your story. The Lorekeeper is a small series of short stories that I have written and plan to upload here on the channel as a small part of a playlist. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this, and I would also love to see your comments and maybe your criticisms down below. Other than that, I really appreciate you guys taking this time, and I'd love to see you again next week for another installment of this series. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.